Well, we made it from Tuscaloosa to Greenville with a different face next to me. I'm Caleb Jarrow. That's Andrew Smith. And we are here at Pioneer Park for some fall baseball action. Tennessee played 18 innings with Virginia, pulled out a win after 18 innings. The last couple innings weren't the best baseball, but the first were pretty good. Andrew, what would you say was your biggest takeaway from tonight?
I think my biggest takeaway is one of the newest faces on the ball club in Billy Amick. You know, he went 5 for 5 in that first 9 inning set. Had the big home run the 8th inning of the ball game. Gave Tennessee a lead that never relinquished, and overall just very good night. 5 for 5 or 3 for 3 with a couple walks. Really just solid at the plate, and he looked all right defensively too. He didn't really cost Tennessee at the hot corner. With his bat, that's all you're asking. Don't make any big mistakes out there, and you'll make it up with your bat.
Yeah, and the biggest thing with Billy Amick is the question marks at third base. He transferred from Clemson where he was a DH first base guy, and he played third today, and he did look good. There were some iffy. He didn't look comfortable at times, but there were no errors, no plays that cost runs, like you said. Another big thing that stood out to me was the shortstop competition. They played 3 guys at shortstop tonight. Started with Christian Moore, who looked really good. Question with him is if his arm strength can translate from second to short. I want to say it was the second or third inning of the game. He goes backhand and gets the ball out of the 6 hole and then throws it across the infield. Shows the arm strength. Then Ariel Antigua comes in. He makes a couple good plays. One that Blake Burke maybe should have caught, maybe not. Error hit. He makes a couple good plays. And then you have Alex Perry, a freshman, who comes in near the end of the night and does good and also flashed the bat a little bit. That whole left side of the infield looked good tonight. Andrew, what do you think?
Oh, it absolutely did. When we would talk with Coach Vitale after the game, he really made that point of emphasis of no matter who's over there, they all very much impress, whether it be over at the hot corner or at short. And it's going to be very interesting to see as both the fall develops and as we roll into springtime, how that competition shakes out, because you have a lot of quality options there and not enough spots on the infield to fill them. And that's a good problem to have if you're Tony Vitello.
Yeah, and luckily also if you're Tony Vitello, if Christian Moore ends up being your starting shortstop, well, now you can put somebody at second and get another bat in the lineup like a Perry or an Antigua. Also saw Dean Curley back up at third in the latter half of the scrimmage exhibition game. He looked good. Yeah. Didn't have any problems with him at third. Flashed the bat a little bit. He flashed the bat in the fall scrimmages as well with home runs, stuff like that, and showed again tonight with a perfect line drive to center field. Pitching-wise, Andrew, it was a lot of good, and there was also some question marks with those young guys. Like you said, when we talked to Vitello tonight, somebody asked what pitcher stood out the most, and he instantly said Derek Schaefer, who had just a dominant 3-up, 3-down inning. Yeah. And I think Vitello said it best. A lot of these guys got 3 outs and didn't give up runs, but they weren't pretty 3 outs.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. A couple guys may a hit or two scattered. Have to Houdini themselves out of a jam maybe to get that 0 on the scoreboard, but that obviously wasn't the case for Schaefer. He was, as you said, dominant. Very impressive inning of work from him, and you saw other guys get some action, look good at times, look like it's still fall at times. But overall, that's a good Virginia Tech offense, and you'll have an occasional inning where things might go a little awry. So overall, not the worst you could have got out of your pitching staff, to say the least.
For sure. And one of those innings was Nate Snead, 5 hits, 4 runs, the transfer. He's a guy that you expected to come in and kind of make an impact, but obviously that didn't happen tonight. Now, it is October. Yeah. So I don't know if we can sound the alarms yet. I mean, Drew Beam gave up a hit, a leadoff double. Yeah. And he's expected to be your Friday night guy this year. Yeah. So I don't think you can sound any alarms from your pitching staff or your hitters. And I guess we'll just kind of wrap up with some outfield play, really. Dylan Dreiling had a big-time game in the first 9, I guess. He didn't play in the second 9, so half of a game, if you want to call it an 18-inning game. But he stood out. Kavaris Tears made some plays in right, wore the golden sombrero at the plate. But we know he can hit. Yes. The defense has been the issue, but he stood out defensively as well. Who are some other outfield guys who stood out to you out there?
For me, you see, Hunter Inslee out there. He's just kind of feels, solid, steady out there in center field. He's not a guy, tonight he didn't necessarily wow you if you look at the hitting numbers, 1 for 5 with the run scored. Not a bad night, but you could also see more. But no complaints from him in center field. It feels like on nearly a nightly basis, right? Yeah, solid center field. That's what you're going to get from Hunter Inslee. Yeah. And then, you mentioned Dalton Bargo. He's just kind of been playing all over the place. Tony Vitello really credited his versatility post-game. And, we didn't see him at catcher, although he's gotten some work there this spring, where he was at Mizzou. But, corner infield, corner outfield, can kind of do a little bit of everything. I think primarily got more first base looks tonight. But, he can go play out there, too, if you need him to.
Yeah, and I think he had a catch or two out there. He also was a guy that didn't look uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So you can stick him in a corner outfield position. Basically, from tonight, I say you have a lot of pieces, and now it's just about putting the puzzle together, where everybody fits, who's going to end up making that spring roster because there's a cutoff. I think it was 41 people who saw time tonight.
Yes.
So obviously a lot of stats to work in, a lot of people to track. But I'm going to try to get some sleep after driving from Tuscaloosa to Greenville and now back to Knoxville. Andrew's got 3 takeaways coming from the offense. I'll have pictures and a little bit about the left side of the infield. And for that, I think that's it, Andrew. So for Andrew Smith, I'm Caleb Jarrow, and this is another production of the Daily Beacon Sports Podcast.